There's a specific moment most people with this problem know. The house gets quiet, the day is officially over, and instead of the mind slowing down, it does the opposite, not gradually, like something that was waiting for the quiet before it could start. And here's what makes it worse. You've probably been told what to do about it. No screens before bed, melatonin, deep breathing, a consistent schedule. And you've tried some version of those things. And you're still here. Still watching, still not sleeping the way you're supposed to. This video is about why that keeps happening. Not because you're doing it wrong, because those solutions were built for a different problem than the one you have. And today, that distinction is going to matter. Let's start with what most people get wrong about sleep when anxiety is involved. Most content about sleep treats poor sleep as one thing. You're not sleeping well. So here are the steps to sleep better. And for a lot of people, those steps work. A little less caffeine, a darker room, a more consistent bedtime, problem identified, problem solved. But that's not the problem you have. What you have isn't general poor sleep with an anxiety component layered on top. It's something more specific than that. And the distinction matters more than most people realize. Research on insomnia consistently separates two populations: people whose sleep is disrupted by external factors, stress, schedule, environment, and people whose nervous systems have entered a state called hyperarousal. Hyperarousal isn't just feeling stressed before bed. It's a persistent state of physiological activation, elevated heart rate, heightened sensory sensitivity, a brain that won't downshift, that doesn't switch off when the lights go out. And the key finding, the one that changes everything, is that hyperarousal isn't caused by the night. It's carried into the night from a nervous system that never got the signal to stand down. So when standard sleep advice tells you to relax, it's giving the right instruction to the wrong nervous system. Your system isn't failing to relax because you haven't tried hard enough. It's failing to relax because it doesn't believe relaxing is safe right now. That's not a willpower problem. That's a trained response. And trained responses have a mechanism, one that's worth understanding exactly. So how does this actually develop? Here's what happened. And when you hear it, you may recognize it. At some point, it doesn't matter exactly when, your nervous system started spending a lot of time in an elevated state. Work pressure, relationship tension, prolonged uncertainty, health worry. The specific cause is less important than what happened next. Your brain, doing exactly what brains are designed to do, started scanning for patterns. Where does this activated feeling happen? When does the threat seem most present? And here's where it gets specific. The bedroom, the quiet, the stillness, the particular vulnerability of lying down started appearing in the pattern. Not because the bedroom was dangerous, but because that's where the activated nervous system ended up, night after night, trying to sleep while still running threat detection. And the brain made a very logical, very unhelpful connection. This place, this quiet, this position, these sheets. This is associated with distress. Psychologists call this conditioned arousal. The bedroom stops being a neutral space and starts functioning as a cue, a signal that tells the nervous system to prepare for difficulty, which means by the time you lie down, your brain has already started the process. Before a single anxious thought arrives, before you've had a chance to try any technique, the cue fired. The response began. This is why the standard advice keeps missing. White noise and melatonin and breathing exercises are designed to help someone relax. But you're not failing to relax. You're responding to a learned threat signal that fires the moment you enter the room. Asking you to relax in that environment is like asking someone to feel calm in a place their body has decided is dangerous. The instruction is fine. The timing is off by about 10 years. And none of this, not one part of it, happened because something is wrong with you. Which brings us to what this really means. There is a thought that lives underneath all of this. Most people who lie awake night after night eventually arrive at some version of it. It usually sounds like, what does it say about me that I can't do something this basic? Sleep is automatic. Every living creature does it. It requires nothing. And yet here you are, unable to get it right. What does that mean? Here's the answer. The direct answer. It means your nervous system was exposed to enough sustained stress for long enough that it made a very understandable error. It mapped the place where you stopped being defended to the state it had been running in all day. It confused the place where I become vulnerable with the place where I need to stay alert. And then it practiced that association. Every night it didn't sleep well was another repetition. Another data point confirming. This place, this time, stay ready. Your nervous system didn't malfunction. It learned. Think of it this way. Your nervous system passed a very difficult course in threat detection. It studied hard. It showed up every night. It took the lessons seriously. The problem isn't that it failed. The problem is that it graduated. And now it's applying that training somewhere it doesn't belong. That is the whole story. Not a character flaw, not a fundamental fragility, not evidence that you can't handle ordinary life. A nervous system that learned something under conditions that would have taught the same lesson to most nervous systems. The person next to you who sleeps easily, they're not stronger than you. They're not more disciplined or more mentally stable. Their nervous system just never received that particular curriculum. You didn't fail at sleeping. Your nervous system became very good at something in exactly the wrong place. That is a learnable error. And what was learned can be revised. If what's here is landing, if this is the first time the pattern has made sense, there's something in the description that goes further. It's built specifically for people who have tried the standard approaches and need to understand why those approaches keep missing the real problem. Not to sell you on a method. To give you the explanation that most sleep content skips entirely. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, knowing this doesn't make tonight magically easier, but it does change something important. Understanding this doesn't fix it tonight. That's important to say clearly and to mean it. A nervous system that spent months or years learning this pattern doesn't unlearn it in an evening. Anyone who tells you otherwise is describing a different problem than the one you have. But understanding it changes something. Right now, when you lie down and the activation starts, the racing, the scanning, the inability to just let go, there's a story running underneath it. The story sounds like, something is wrong with me. I'm failing again. This is just who I am. That story isn't neutral. Every time it runs, it adds to the case. Another night, another failure, another data point confirming the verdict. What changes when you understand the mechanism is that the story has somewhere new to go. Not, something is wrong with me, but my nervous system is responding to a cue it learned. That's what's happening right now. Not a verdict, a learned response. That's not a small shift, because the secondary layer of anxiety, the anxiety about the anxiety, the panic that arrives when you realize you can't sleep, feeds directly on that story. Remove the story, and you remove some of the fuel, not all of it. This isn't a cure. But a nervous system responding to a cue is a different thing to be dealing with than a broken person who can't handle life. One of those is permanent. The other one learns something, which means it can learn something else. Tonight, you don't need to fix this. Tonight, you just need to notice, when the activation starts, that you know what it is now. A trained response, not a truth. Your nervous system doing what it practiced. Not a message about who you are. That one distinction, held quietly in the dark, is a different kind of night than the ones you've been having. If this opens something and you want to go further, the resource in the description was built for exactly this next question. Why every specific thing you've tried kept missing it? And what works differently for an anxious nervous system? What was the moment you first suspected this wasn't just about needing better sleep habits, that something else was going on? The person who lies awake building a case against themselves is not doing something unusual. They're doing what a nervous system does when it has been trained to treat the night as a problem to be solved. It calculates, it monitors, it stays ready. Because that's what it learned to do. The fact that you're here, watching this, looking for a way to understand what's happening, that's not weakness. That's a nervous system that hasn't given up on finding a different way through. The insomnia is not who you are. It's something that happened to your nervous system, under conditions that asked more of it than it knew how to process. And systems that learned something under conditions that no longer apply, those systems can update. Not tonight, maybe, not in a straight line, not without bad nights that feel like going backward. But the curriculum isn't permanent. The verdict was always wrong. Your nervous system learned fear. And the reason nothing has worked, the real reason, is that everything you tried was aimed at the sleep. When the thing that needed to change was what your nervous system believed about the night. That's the distinction. And now you have it. You came here tonight looking for a reason. Not a hack, not a protocol, not another thing to try. A reason. The nervous system that learned this is the same nervous system that can unlearn it. That's not reassurance. That's the mechanism working in the other direction. And it starts not with a perfect night, but with understanding what you're actually dealing with. You have that now.